The season is winding down. We have 12 weeks behind us, but that does not mean you need to stop making moves or you should stop making moves in Dynasty. So let's talk about 5 moves to make heading into week 13 here. To kick it off, move number 1, we are going to go out and we are going to add D'Ernest Johnson. Now, you may be wondering why. Why are we doing this late in the season? It looks as if he might be the new handcuff in Jacksonville. Obviously, ETN is the guy. 26 opportunities last week. There is no question he is the focal point on the ground, through the air, out of the backfield at least. But the backup matters here. If ETN goes down, you look at a guy who could be a potential RB1 just based on the offense, the usage, all of it. Johnson the last 2 weeks has 8 opportunities and 9 opportunities. This week, in week 12 at least, Tank Bigsby only saw 2 opportunities. He is slowly losing his grip as the RB2 in this backfield. And if Johnson ends up being the guy, I mean, that's enticing. He has looked good. Again, limited usage, but he has looked solid on the ground. This offense utilizes the running back in the red zone heavily. And realistically, it probably ends up being a split between Johnson and Bigsby. But if I got to pick one guy based on current trends, Johnson is the running back to roster behind Travis Etienne. Sticking with that same kind of theme, move number 2, we're going to go out. We are going to add Chase Edmonds. Now, Chase Edmonds is still available in over 50% of leagues. And Rachaad White popped up on the injury report at the end of last week. Played, 87% of snaps, was the full workhorse. But Chase Edmonds is still the handcuff to own here. Is he going to be a superstar? No, because it's Chase Edmonds. We know he's not that good. But this offense, Baker Mayfield specifically, has loved to check the ball down. That's why Rachaad White has had so much fantasy value. Aside from last week's rushing explosion, Rachaad White has basically been a receiving back, and that's how he's made his name in fantasy. Chase Edmonds could have a very similar usage and a very similar outcome. So Chase Edmonds, available in over 50% of leagues, doesn't make a ton of sense. He needs to be rostered in basically 100% because we always talk about it. You want handcuffs towards the end of the season. That is where the value ends up being. Before we get to move number 3, if you want 2 more moves, if you want 7 moves to make, go ahead, check out the DLF YouTube membership. Underneath that bonus content tier, you're going to get an extension of the 5 moves to make video and an additional video every single week during the season. So check that out, guys. The bonus content tier on the DLF YouTube memberships.
Hey guys, I just wanted to let y'all know that our biggest sale of the year begins now. The 2023 annual DLF Cyber Week sale is the best way to get a full year of DLF Premium membership at 30% off of the normal subscription price for only $34.99. The sale is running right now through the end of Cyber Week on Friday, December 1st. So take advantage of the Cyber Week sale. Simply hit the link in the description below and make sure to use the coupon code CYBER2023 for a full year of DLF Premium at 30% off.
Now, for move number 3, this is really if you aren't contending. If you're in that middle ground or you are a rebuilding roster, go out and buy some injured stars. And the reason is if they are sitting on contending rosters and teams are looking and thinking, well, I now have a massive hole at quarterback because I lost Joe Burrow. I have a massive hole at tight end because I lost Mark Andrews. Or I lost Anthony Richardson weeks ago and I'm still contending. Or I lost T. Higgins and he hasn't played him forever. All of these players typically are not available in trade just because they're very good or they have high values in Dynasty. Now, if that team is contending and is a piece away, they may make them available. That is when rebuilding teams that are not true contenders, need to act because it's not easy to get star players. Trading for injured stars is usually the cheapest way you're going to do it outside of the rookie draft. Joe Burrow, like I said, Mark Andrews, Anthony Richardson, T. Higgins. If you want to throw Nick Chubb in there, sure. Like those are the guys I'm happy to go and add at a slight discount compared to what they typically would provide. Now, if you're contending, don't follow this advice. They're not going to help you win. The whole goal is to win. So don't do that. But if you're rebuilding, these are the guys you should be going after in trades. And move number 4 is kind of in the same light, which is sell those rental running backs. This is basically the inverse. Instead of buying players that don't give you value this season, you're going to sell players that have value right now that typically don't ever have value, right? We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Gus Edwards was a prime candidate. He's already losing his role. You can look at Jerome Ford, Chuba Hubbard. I mean, all of these players that are thrust into starting lineups, but typically are just handcuffs. Like, this is why we roster handcuffs, so we can ideally flip them for future picks. Or young wide receivers. That is the ideal goal here. If you can get a second for any of those players and you don't need them, let me be clear, and you don't need them in your lineup, this is the time to do it. And to close us out, if you are not a 100% contender, move number 5 is to sell your end-of-life veterans. Now, this means the players that just are clearly over the hill or getting over the hill and are just probably going to get worse next year. Think about a DeAndre Hopkins. A Keenan Allen, if you're not contending, is an easy sell target because, look, Keenan's been spectacular. He's going to bring back a ton of value. Or a guy like Travis Kelce. I'm okay moving on from Travis Kelce. I personally flipped Travis Kelce on a fringe contender for Mark Andrews. Those are the guys in season. This is when they carry the most value because contending rosters are looking for points and ways to get over the hump. They're willing to pay up for older players that in 2 months are going to be worth nothing, at least in terms of trade value. So this is the time to move on from your veterans. All right, guys, that is all I have for you. Again, if you would like what we are doing here, check out the bonus content here on the DLF YouTube membership. If you have questions, you have comments, drop them down below. As always, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.